What's up, everyone? I feel like it's a long time no see, and I can blame myself for that. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad to be back in the chair and making another episode of Moving with Life. This is episode 134. Originally, I was going to start with I was going to go through a Simon Sinek video, and I'm going to go into why, and we're going to go into just the rest of the detail. And I want to jump into the first video. It'll be two videos. It's going to be 2 videos total. And they'll be in the show notes, but you'll be able to listen to the audio. The first one's only like 2.5 minutes long. The second one's a little bit longer, but it will all make sense. It will all make sense, and we will get through them one at a time. And then we'll go about our week. So let's get into the first one here.
The day I met you a long time ago, before I actually knew you real good.
Mm-hmm. You know me real good now? Is that the deal?
I think so.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. But like you always, and actually listening to you now, like I kind of realized like you live in the moment a lot. Yeah.
Yes.
Like I remember we were sitting at when we had sushi that night.
Yeah.
The first night I met you. Like when was that? Like 2007 or something.
2007.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember you, and you had another guy with you. I forget.
Yeah, my buddy, Kurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember we're all talking and whatever, everyone's talking, and I hear you kind of on the side. You're like this is good, man. Eating sushi with good people. We're doing so. Kind of like you're totally. It's like you're explaining to him, but you're explaining to yourself. Like what am I experiencing right now?
Yeah.
And how good is this? How cool is this?
Yeah.
Almost like you had this stuff coming up, and you're living in that moment.
Yeah.
Right there.
Absolutely.
Just like with the stories with you mentioned like you saw the ambient light coming down. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Why is that, do you think? Or is there a specific reason, do you think? Because a lot of people not like that. You know how like they'll be like, oh, we're about to do this, I'm excited, or that thing happened and that's whack or whatever.
Yeah.
And they don't really, you know what I mean?
I've always been like that. My parents taught us just to enjoy what you have. It doesn't have to be material stuff. Just enjoy the life that you have. And I've also always realized that people have it a lot worse. And then after 2 deployments, because I met you after my second deployment, like I'd seen the worst. I'd seen evil firsthand. I'd seen actual oppression, not what some of these idiots are talking about right now. I'd seen, kids with underwear on and sandals in the streets, and that's all they had. I've seen, women holding their kids crying. I've seen guys use kids as human shields because they're cowards. And I'm getting to sit and enjoy sushi in San Diego, California with my best friend, Curtis, from high school, and a new group of guys that I met, through other team guys. And I'm like, man, life is good.
We were with the Cake Nuts, by the way.
Oh, Cake Nuts makes another appearance on the Jocko podcast.
Yeah. Solid dude. I think he tried to rip a tree out of the ground once, right?
Probably.
No, he did. Someone convinced him that he couldn't pull a tree out of the ground, so he tried.
Yeah, Jeremy probably tried to convince him that.
I think you're right on that.
Yeah. Fully.
So that's the first video, and that was JP Dinnell on Jocko podcast. I forgot what episode it is, but I'll put in just this excerpt because all the details will be over there, and it's how to live in the moment. And JP Dinnell primarily mentions how his parents raised them like that. I think he has siblings. We'll say he does. And even I want to get into the second video because the second video is going to actually tie in everything else as far as like taking time off, not stopping things that I'm doing outside the podcast, but the fact that I sometimes want, and I can argue maybe I need a break sometimes, but then it's like, well, I need to be consistent too, and I wrote down here consistently inconsistent, but that video I was like, okay, because I got up right now and I got all my stuff set up and we're here, and when I was trying to go through, like I said, I was going to do a Simon Sinek video, and I'm like, it just didn't fit for me. So I was like, no, I can't do that. I'm not going to do it. It doesn't work for me right now. It doesn't work for my mood, how I'm feeling. And so I came across, so I went down a bunch of videos and I found this one. I listened to it. I have it saved, but I listened to it again. It's like, yeah, this is the one. And one of the things that stuck out was when he said that they were out. Okay, I guess they had gone back from deployment, and that echoed Charles overheard him saying, just kind of stepping back, really detaching. That's what he did. He's there at this table with friends and back from deployment, 6 months, whatever, however long it was, and then JP sitting back is like, man, life is good. We're here, and in this case, they were in San Diego, and that reminded me. Actually, I've actually had several moments like that. I knew then I was lucky. The first time I had it, I can't remember when, but there was at least a moment that I do remember vividly. It was me and my buddies, and I had met some of their friends. So we had a big, nice little group of people. We were at this bar and just having a good time. There's live music going on, and at some point, me and one of the guys, he was one of the older guys of the group, and we were just talking. And then he's like, this is what I remember. I remember this conversation just being me. It was me and him. He wasn't even drinking that much, and I wasn't drinking that much. I think I was DD that night. I might have been, because I don't remember drinking at all. I actually don't remember drinking at all. But we were there, and everybody was a good time. Everybody was having a good time, and I remember him in between, literally, music's loud as hell. It's very loud, but he's like, hey man, and we're just conversing, and he's like, man, this is what I live for. This is what I like. All these, especially the younger guys. Some of the younger guys, and mine. No, not mind you, but even then, because I was probably 25. Cause I think I had to have already been gigging. But I feel like I had already graduated college, so we're gonna say maybe 2017, around that time, 2016. Let's just call it around that time. So we're out of college, hanging out with people that are still in college but finishing up or whatever, whatever the circumstances be. But we're just hanging out. It's a big group, and so some of these guys were just a little bit younger, and he's actually older than me. So yeah, so it gives him even more perspective, because for him, some of these guys are 10 years younger. For me, maybe it's 5 years younger. So it's still the same group, anyways. But I just remember that little moment in that time, and again, the music was loud. Everybody was having a good time, and he said it was very similar to that situation. It was you kind of sit back, it's like, man, this is the good part, because sometimes that is building the relationship. Going out to the bar, and Jocko talks about it too. Going out to the bar, having dinner here with your team, whoever that is, your crew, whoever that is, and then and just having that social ability. I was gonna say dynamic, but it's more of a social ability to build the relationship, to then have future business partners, have future project partners, whatever it may be. Business ventures, investing in venture capital adventures. So many avenues, right, that you can go down. But that video made me think of that, and it's like, yeah, and that, like I said, I have to create my own argument, saying that that's what I've been kind of doing, in not posting. I had been doing two podcasts a week for a good minute now, and then there was a time, about 3 weeks ago, maybe going almost a month ago, where I started feeling just like a slowdown. I've been doing pretty good, having this content that I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to elaborate or just listen to. And then as I started getting closer, and I started just posting the videos themselves, and I was finding 30-minute videos on purpose so that I can just post that. And yes, I listen to it and then push it out, or something. I like the last one I did was a Tony Robbins with Gary Vee on the Gary Vee show. That was one of the, and I put in the description, but I didn't talk, because I didn't feel like talking. I really didn't. I haven't been reading my books. I've been sitting a lot and trying to balance, really, also going to work, and it's not an excuse. It's just what I've been doing, and because I guess my first thought for myself, instead of giving myself just a break sometimes from work and from other things that I need to get done, to where I do feel, and there's a video I found about guilt, but I was like, we'll talk about deeper topic like guilt later on, but it was relatable, because the usual, I'll say the usual me, not the old me, but the usual me feels guilty for not just being productive all the time, like just hammering out something, anything. I've already been into investing in stocks, but I guess I will say that I've definitely dove deeper and trying to, look into swing trading and like just different avenues of trading and stock in the stock market. And then crypto's going crazy. The stock market's like, May was an interesting month. I'll just stick with the word that I like. And so that was that. And so let's jump into the second video. It's like 11 minutes. Here it is. And it's Matt D'Avila. The title is How to Finally Overcome Procrastination. I listened to about half of it, so I'm gonna listen to we're gonna listen to it from top to bottom. But I listened to about half of them, like, this one makes sense to me. Cool. And so I want to jump into that here in a second. But it's definitely how I've been feeling, or it's like I can call it procrastination, but at the same time, it's like, well, I haven't been completely procrastinating. I've been doing other things. It's just I need to bring myself back into this gear now that I've kind of settled into my my work schedule again, and then get this stuff rolling again. So let's listen to this real quick, and then we'll talk about it.
Alrighty, so let's talk about procrastination. Next week. Let's do it next week, because honestly, that's just going to be better for my schedule. I'm just a little bit busy right now. Things are super crazy. And like, what's it with everybody always being on time with things? Like, oh, I got to pay rent every month. Oh, I got to listen to my wife when she asks me a question. You guys don't do those things, right? For the past couple weeks, I've been procrastinating making this video. Instead of doing the thing that I knew I should be doing, I played video games, hunted around my house for snacks, and scrubbed my floors spotless. I guess because if I'm not going to be productive, at the very least, the back of my refrigerator is going to be clean. Now, I always tend to find a silver lining when I go through a slump like this, and it's not just the fact that my bathrooms are clean for the first time in 2 months. Don't judge me, it's 2020. But this time around, it's gotten me to look a little bit deeper and identify the problems. Why am I struggling? Why am I having such a difficult time getting to work? This video wasn't even going to be about procrastination, but the longer I sat in those feelings, the longer I was going through this, the more it got me to think about ways to overcome procrastination, how to push through it, and the true reasons why we procrastinate to begin with. This video is brought to you by Storyblocks, a great website that I use for sourcing high-quality video clips for my videos, but more on them later. I think the thing I hate most about procrastinating isn't the fact that I get behind with my work, or that I eventually have to cram last minute before a deadline. It's the fact that it blankets otherwise enjoyable downtime with a thin layer of guilt. While I aimlessly browse online, there's this quiet voice nagging in the back of my mind. You should be working right now. This isn't the best use of your time. You're totally screwed. So a lot of you know me as someone who is super productive, a guy who generally has his shit together. And while for the most part, I like to think that that's true, I do have my days, I have my weeks, and sometimes I even have my months where I just can't get to work. I struggle to do even the things that I find most fulfilling in life. So 2 weeks ago, I put one task on my to-do list, make YouTube video. But each day I kept pushing it back and back and back. I kept finding other things to distract myself with. I kept telling myself that I'd get to it later. But then 9 a.m. would turn into 12 p.m. and then before I knew it, it was past 5 p.m. And damn it, I'm not the kind of person that starts working past 5 p.m. This cycle went on for days. I kept coming up with all of these sneaky reasons, or let's call them what they actually are, excuses, for why I didn't need to do the thing that I actually really needed to do. And I'm sure that this is something that you've experienced yourself firsthand, whether it's a school paper or it's a project for work. We put off the things that are most important, even though we know that's gonna lead to so much pain down the road. And as I started to think about it, I started to wonder, what's the reason? Why would we actually do this? It sounds so counterproductive and so counterintuitive to how we should be acting. And then I remembered an interview I did last year with Steven Kotler. He's an expert in the flow state. If you missed that video, there's a link in the description, but essentially flow is a state of optimal performance where your brain locks in on the task at hand and everything else in the world seems to fade away. It's what allows extreme athletes to perform gravity-defying tricks, and it's also what gets you to do your best work, whether you're an accountant or a filmmaker. So in order to get into a flow state, in order to take advantage of what we're wired to do, we need to overcome procrastination. And so I thought there would be no better person to ask this question than Stephen Kotler. Why do we procrastinate?
Flow follows focus. It only shows up when all of our attention is in the right here, right now, right? So that's what all the triggers do. They're all ways of driving our attention into the present moment. Challenge skills balance is the best of those ways, and it says we pay the most attention to the task at hand when the challenge of the task slightly exceeds your skill set. So you want to stretch but not snap. It's outside your comfort zone, but just outside. So if I were to explain it emotionally, I would say it sits, this challenge skills balance, the balance point sits not on, but very near the midpoint between boredom, not enough stimulation here, I'm paying no attention, and anxiety, whoa, way too much, I'm paying too much attention. In between is this sweet spot, they call it the flow channel. Procrastination, 95% of the time, is one of two things. Either the challenge is too hard, it's making you anxious, so you're putting it off and you're putting it off and putting it off, or just as common, the challenge is too frickin' boring.
The challenge was too boring. Even though I didn't realize it at the time, that's exactly how I felt about that one task that I added to my to-do list, make YouTube video. It wasn't that I find making videos boring, it's that the challenge of making one video in 1 week just wasn't very ambitious for me. Now, if you've never made a YouTube video or a video in your life, then this is gonna be a really difficult challenge. There are hundreds of different skills and steps that you need to take in order to start making a video and then to finish a video. But I'd proven to myself time and time again that I can do this. I've made hundreds of videos in my life, both long and short, and I knew that I could do this within just a couple of days if I needed to. So the problem really wasn't with the task itself, because I loved the task of making videos. It was really, how do I motivate myself to get started and to push myself into the flow state? Because once I'm there, I'm truly loving it. I'm enjoying the process, and it's difficult to pull me away from my work. I just had to find that inner motivation to get me there. And so I asked myself, how could I light a fire under my ass? And I realized that I just wasn't being ambitious enough with my time. One video just wasn't challenging enough for me. So I added a few more tasks to my to-do list that I needed to get done after finishing this video. All of a sudden, there was a sense of urgency to get me started. Stephen told me about another creative workaround he used as a journalist that had nothing to do with moving deadlines.
Especially when I was coming up as a writer and as a journalist, I mean, man, I would take any story you gave me, right? Like, I'll write about whatever. Some of those stories were less than interesting to me. So, because I didn't want to put it off till the night before, for all the obvious reasons, I would do things like, okay, how would Charles Dickens write this story? How would Hemingway write? So I'd try to write the story in the voice of Hemingway, because I've turned the challenge level up. I'm a month out, and suddenly I'm interested.
So think about whatever task it is you're working on right now that you're procrastinating by watching this YouTube video, and ask yourself if you're avoiding the task because it's too simple. If so, how could you dial it up to make it a little bit more difficult, a little bit more challenging or interesting for yourself? Now, of course, the difficulty with this strategy is finding balance. Now, if you take on too much work, if you overwhelm yourself, then you're gonna burn out and you're gonna get stressed out. You may actually, like Stephen Kotler suggested, get too anxious to where these projects would be overwhelming to even begin in the first place. And then also though, on the flip side, I definitely find it to be true that when I do too little, when it's not exciting or ambitious enough, then I'm not gonna be motivated to get started. And so finding that balance, making sure that, of course, you're not burning out, but also making sure that you're creating and doing work that is really inspiring and motivating you to take action. Okay, so let's for a moment dig into the other reason that we procrastinate. When things become overwhelming or a project is just too much for us to wrap our heads around. And if we can look at the same example I've been using throughout this video, make YouTube video. If that's what's on your to-do list and you've never made a video in your life, this is going to be a truly daunting experience. And so you might want to split it up into a few smaller tasks. You might create a to-do list with the items write video, film video, edit video. Now again, this could still be too overwhelming, so you could continue to break that down even further and create a dozen or more different tasks as a part of the bigger whole. Now, this is something that I continue to do with really big projects. It's something that you absolutely have to do because I couldn't just put make feature-length documentary on my to-do list. If I did, I would have to keep putting on my to-do list every day for about 3 years over the course of the project. No, what I really need to do is break that up into much more manageable bits of information. Goals and milestones along the way are there to help push you forward towards that big goal, but you have these small tasks you need to do every day that continue to push the needle forward. The best part of overcoming procrastination and checking all those items off your to-do list is that you can now enjoy a much-deserved break, completely guilt-free. Now the only thing left to procrastinate is cleaning your house. All right, so I found out about my sponsor for this video, Storyblocks, last year, and they have since completely changed the game when it comes to sourcing high-quality royalty alternatives. But now with video, Storyblocks. Instead of spending a half day running around my city grabbing a stack high-strung version of Matt where I can just chill, we can just hang it, we can kick it. I'm not cool. I am like becoming a dad, even though we are very far away from having kids of our own. I know a lot of people ask that question. Nat and I aren't having kids anytime soon. We get so caught up in the chase that we lose sight of what is truly important. And so whether you're trying to overcome procrastination, whether you're working towards your goals, I really, really want you guys to make sure that you always keep in check the reason why you're doing it. And you always make sure that you're not doing something just because you have to, and you're doing it because you want to, because you love what you're doing and you truly love the craft. Sometimes it's really difficult to understand the difference because when you're facing procrastination, when you're facing, the prospect of sitting down playing video games all day or doing work that's truly difficult, you can feel like, oh man, I'd rather just do this easy thing. I actually don't want to do the hard work. But you have to be able to overcome that. You have to be able to push through that to really identify whether this is something worth doing or it's something throwing off to the side and trying something different instead. And so continue to be honest with yourself, continue to be true, keep asking those questions, and keep doing the hard work. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
And there's some ways to overcome procrastination. Again, that video will be in the show notes along with the JP Dinnell video. For me, just his little, I call it the intro, but just the beginning, we're talking about he was cleaning a room and he was playing. I don't play video games. I want to make sure to mention that, like, I don't play video games. Like how else have I been procrastinating? Is like honestly looking more, my study of the stock market, and it's more of like just looking for trends and seeing how things have been doing, not entirely like, where, trying to play the stock market. Like, I'm not trying to do that either. But I do like trends. Usually trends tend to help. Just whatever companies you're interested in investing in, they help you with, okay, do you want to stay in longer, or is it time to kind of, get rid of that investment and use those funds for something else? And so really my procrastination has been, stock market. It's funny he mentioned the cleaning the room or cleaning restrooms clean. Yeah, I did the same thing. I got my room all cleaned up and stuff. It was again, like the way he says, like, I needed it, but whatever. I can say and will say that, it does go hand in hand with my procrastination of doing a actual podcast video / recording to post for everybody to see and try to learn, right? That's definitely one of the things, and I do realize that a lot of the talk that I have, it's some type of relation to business, but it's just, again, I'm pretty sure, I feel like I've mentioned this before, but it's the avenue I have found the most interest in, and through that, and I'm still grateful for the professors I had in college and all that, and those people I got to meet, because they realized and gave us the knowledge of the fact that life is a lot like business as far as principles and as far as like communicating with people. things that are what is most important, and what's most important for the company. Do your employees realize that? Well, it's like same thing with like I'm not saying with like your friend, you want to go out and, but still you want to go with your friends and have a good time, and those are all good things. But for me, I think it's just the basis and the foundation of the relationship building, just being able to communicate, whether it's video or whether it's face to face. I've been lucky to have some good face to face conversations lately, and there's just been moments in those where in my head, like we're talking, but in my head, I do get mildly sidetracked within the conversation, because it's like, man, like this, I enjoy this, I appreciate this, I appreciate the time I'm being given. That's how I feel, especially when we're having a deep conversation about, and it could be live conversation, and then I have a lot of investment conversations as well. But either way, I appreciate the fact of sharing knowledge or gaining knowledge from others. It's like, oh well, I went through this. How did you? It seems like there's one conversation I had recently, and it's like, oh, we have a lot of things that we have a lot of experiences that were generally the same when it comes to like just being at home, back in like school years. I was like, and at the end of that conversation, I was like, man, wow, I think I wanted to ask, where do you go from there? But at that time, I just remember like, man, like what does that even, what does that mean, right? That when you're able to meet people that have a lot of the same, they're different, but the principles and the outcomes are the same. It's like, man, what does that even mean? And I was getting very, very meta. I was like, okay, we'll move on. But again, I am appreciative of those conversations and face-to-face conversations. I think that might be some of what I yearn. I'll say yearn for. I don't know if I want to use yearn for, but I'll use it for now. Because it's kind of, I guess, because of the relief that I feel and the joy that I feel from having face-to-face conversations. It's very like, yeah, I want more of that. I do want more of that, and trying to find that, but then at the same time balancing, because we'll say my day job is very interactive, and some days are long, and that's just the nature of the beast. And I'm completely fine with that, because I enjoy what I do. I like being in the healthcare, but I didn't know that before, but now I do, and I've been very lucky. And so yeah, so all that for the past, let's say, 2 to 3 weeks have led me to this episode and this conversation. We're already hitting our 30 minutes, so we'll be wrapping it up pretty soon. And just to tie back the procrastination video just a bit, and then we can get out of here, is I like how he mentioned, sometimes the tasks are too hard, or the thing that you want to accomplish is too hard, or it's too boring. So, it loses your interest because it's like, it's too overwhelming, and it just gets in your head and you just don't want to do it. Or there's not enough information for you to want to even do it. And I do fight for the argument of find stuff that you enjoy doing. Find whatever it may be, because I still will not. I want to understand, but I still cannot and will not. Maybe it's more of, I do not understand having to go through a job or through certain things within your life that you feel like you have to go through, because it's like, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that. It's like, if you don't enjoy it, you probably don't, and there's some harder conversations that can come up from that. Because I know, sometimes it's your family that puts you through anxiety. Sometimes it's your current friend circle that puts you through anxiety. Your job, so your family, your friend circle, your job, maybe you like the job, but the employees you work with, maybe you're the boss, maybe you're the employee. It doesn't matter. Either way, it's the same thing at the end of the day, of fulfillment and yes, that's where it's like too hard, too boring. You want to find that middle ground, but it's like, yes, so maybe you just find the balance that works for that relationship, whatever and whoever that involves. So yeah, and then the reason why, that's what really got me starting this podcast. It's been 4 years. Oh, I mean, going on 4.5 years now. But going on 4.5 years. But I just remember starting to have just certain moments in conversation where I remember one time we were in Lubbock, and I think it was an acoustic. I think we were up there for an acoustic gig, and we met up with friends that were going to Texas Tech. Or at least one of my, it was friends that one of them was going to Texas Tech, and then there's a group of people that we were hanging with. And it was fun, and I remember having that conversation, and it's like, yeah, this is why I want to start a podcast. And I was like, yeah, I was already in the game of like listening to Joe Rogan and a bunch of all these people that have influenced me, and he even Matt DeVilla mentioned too, where it's like he likes making videos. It was just the matter of fact of like getting all the tasks done, breaking it down as far as he needed to make sure, okay, I got this done, and then at the end of the day, it's all the project is done. Now he can post it, for his audience to see. So yeah, I think that's all I got for today. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Thanks for sticking with me. I hope you understand, and I hope you're doing the same. I hope you're doing the things that keep you sane, whatever avenue that is. It's been very interesting meeting people the past few weeks in relation to my job, and it's just everybody has something. Everybody has something, and I have to argue that everybody's just trying to find their way to find that middle ground of happiness and meaning, the will to get things done because you want to, and within that, finding things that you're willing to do forcefully, but because the bigger picture, the bigger thing, the bigger task, the bigger objective is more important than having to just jump the little hurdle that's going to get you too close to that end goal. So thanks for sticking around. I appreciate it. Don't forget to take care of yourself mentally and physically. Don't forget to take care of your teams, take care of yourself, take care of your household, take care of your teams, lead from the front. I do have the merch still up. I'm honestly considering taking it down, keeping these up and the stickers up only with this emblem on it, this current Moving with Life logo. But that's all that's its own thing. I'd appreciate the support, the spreading of the word, and trying to navigate our way through this world and through our lives with those that help us gain something. So again, thank you, and we'll see you all very, very soon.